Hello. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and it's now time for another game of What Even the Hell Am I Doing With My Life Anymore? Because we're about to check out episode 5 of Rosario Vampire. Now, based on, considering how angry and kind of, Blair I was in the last video, let's try and give episode 5 a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. So, let's just get started and see what we come out of. So, if you guys want to check out the original video, find it yourselves, or I'll leave in the description. So, let's just get started. Expect a lot of whining involved. Okay, so we've got a bit of a soccer match going on. That's football. What am I talking about? Chris Skune barely doing shit, and he's somehow getting applauded. And scores. They let a kid with glasses play. That's a recipe for disaster. Oh, what am I even thinking of? I already know this was a bad idea. Couldn't I have just, skipped through this? Yeah. Yeah, also, school swimsuits and a vampire, ladies and gentlemen. They are just going above and beyond with calling these episodes now. Oh boy. Seems a bit of a harsh punishment. I mean, the rules have got to apply for... I'm not even going to... Don't bother explaining these rules. They don't mean anything in the long run. Not even the rules this show firmly establishes. But we'll get to that later. Also, wait, hang on. That guy looks about 37, and this kid, they got that clown from the movie Brave Little Toaster. This is a very weird... I don't want to call it Pennywise or Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, because... But still, you have to give this show credit. This is the most subtle shot they've actually had with any female character's background, though they may be, but there's no upskirt shot or anything. Almost actual modesty in this show for a change. Apart from the one that says keep out. Yeah, one thing also, I want to say Mocha's face kind of summarizes everything. Second, I'm not an expert on spin or anything like that, but you might want to wear something a little bit more concealing, especially in any weather above 20 degrees. You want to wear more clothes than this. It just seems a bit almost like eliciting girls into prostitution, because, as I mentioned before, this show really has... I don't know if it's the camera crew or whatever, but they have a very particular stance on getting good shots, as you'll see very shortly. Bloody mouse. Oh, and of course there's that, and also, just so you're aware, they play dumb little songs like this over and over again, and I mean, just listen to this shit. Nobody is... Also, again, I don't want to like put an emphasis on this or anything, but that was like a whole 2 seconds. Mocha could have just said, I can't because I'm allergic to water or something like that. You know, you could have had this entire problem solved in seconds because it's fairly obvious at this point already. Yeah, okay, now listen. If you've wondered why my commentary has sort of been a little bit, you know, a little bit light, let's put it, it's because for the first 6 minutes, it's not the greatest of premises for an episode, admittedly, but by this show standards, it's not really that bad. I say that because I think for the next, I don't know if it's like 10 or 9 minutes, they just throw in as much fan service as they can physically muster. There are certain episodes of the show where there's about like 5 minutes of actual story and then 15 minutes of almost absolutely nothing. You don't believe me? Well, I'm gonna present this for you. I mean, okay, I'll tell you what. I've got an idea. What are we on right now? The 6 minutes 17 marker. Keep a good track on when the plot actually decides to pick up, or they establish something that is actually kind of new information for us. Just bear this in mind. Ready? That's where it begins. Yeah, okay, first off, can I have, do I have permission to skip? No, I don't have permission to skip this. You know, guys, I came to quite an interesting revelation about some videos I wanted to make in the future, because I've decided I have to make them at this point, because I wanted to establish something very, very important when doing these sorts of videos in the first place. Also, they say, actually, that's a very good point. They say to neutralize it, she adds herbs and all that. But isn't, like, pool water supposed to be, like, full of chlorine as well? How does chlorine not do anything against water? How is chlorine exempt from this rule? Is that, like, a huge plot? That's like a huge plot, a huge plot hole in this premise of Mocha being weak against water. Why doesn't chlorine take any effect? I'll say that because I know I'm never going to get answered for this. Oh, and also, coming up next is one of the worst things you're going to see in your life. So, if at any point I just leave and go to take a whiz or something like that, you'll know, because I am abstaining if things get particularly cringy in the next few minutes. Oh, who am I kidding? It's going to be 30 seconds, but don't say I didn't warn you. I'm scared. Even reaching for the port, my elbow is getting worse. So anyway, yes, guys, in case you haven't picked up on this, they are actually just having a song number. They are putting a break on anything relevant or important or interesting, just so they could do whatever the hell they're doing, this stupid musical number. And guys, this isn't the only... This part is not the only time they do this. Count yourself lucky that I don't put the music on for you, because listen, I'll explain it near the end, but let's just... You know what? Okay, right. I'm just gonna go on record and say this right now. The singing, that they don't have bad voices. Obviously, the problem is that these lyrics they are painful. That's what they are. They are painful to the nth degree. I mean, the first thing Yukari Sendo says is, "If you look at me, you might just see a little girl." Yukari, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm aware of that. I don't think, however, the show is aware of this. Well, actually, I think the show is blatantly aware of this, because... You know how I've made complaints before about how overly sexualized this show is and is going to become much later on? I say sexualized. They use it for comedy, which... it's about as the most mature thing that I think this show can manage, because this show is not good at... it's not really good at comedy. It's not really good at dramatic tension. It's not really good at keeping things consistent. It's not really good at animating at points. They cut corners drastically in places where it really shouldn't be an issue, or it shouldn't even be in such a... And then they just decide they want to... Also, there's a very, very, very good reason why they have this has a song number that is going on first off for 2 minutes, and I've had enough of this already. I just want to go home. Also, again, I'm pretty sure the proportions are a little bit, even with compared to these two, this is a little bit... Oh, and by the way, curiously enough, I don't know what it is, but Gonzo are not really good at trying to, like, get proportions right in water, because there's a more infamous example, like, later down the road, but there shouldn't really be, like... Even these stupid balls aren't really, like, floating in the water, they're just sort of, like, balancing on screen. Not too sure why it says Academy. Oh, it must be from this banner here. Okay, that makes sense. Sorry. Okay, so let's take note here, ladies and gentlemen. What did I say it was? 6 minutes 17 seconds. So let's do this. We're going to do a very scientific calculation here. So say 6:14. So let's think about this. 39 seconds and 7 minutes 39 seconds. If you could see right there, between where you can see that little that thumbnail over there and to where we are right now, a third of this episode could have been scrapped. You could have cut a third of this episode away and you would have lost absolutely nothing. And I say that because the way this episode opens was pretty slow as well. So you're not really missing much if they just... You could have at least cut maybe, I don't know, 2 or so minutes from the beginning and nothing would have been changed. And you could have... That's in total 9 minutes. That's nearly half the episode you could have just cut and nothing would have changed. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. 9 minutes could have been scrapped and nothing would have changed about this episode. Also, again, and just a very small thing, but who would have guessed that the girls fascinated with the water would turn out to be mermaids? Is that that's not much of a that's not it's there isn't a surprise if you could work this out from a mile away. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I know. Listen, inner monologues are good and all, but you might want to, like, get a move on. That's all I'm saying. Also, good to know apparently the rest of the mermaids were absolutely oblivious to this, since there's just... Oh, whatever. Also, is Mocha just floating? How on earth does... Okay, guys, I know ranting and all that, but I'm trying to, like, bring some kind of way into how this makes any sense, or how can the determining factor of calling Mocha an S-class super monster... I want to try and understand what this show is trying to... Yeah, Alex, I'm gonna allow me to explain this in a few moments as well. This episode makes me want to punch it in the face. Mocha is still apparently up for them joining the swimming club, even after Tomono nearly killed. I don't understand this show. I do not understand the logic. And, okay, right. That's technically where it ends, but that's not where I'm ending. So, yeah, if you haven't caught on right now, episode 5, I did not particularly like very much either, because just so many things that just did not need to be here, to just do nothing but kill time for the obvious revelation that was going to come anyway, because... who else wouldn't have saw that coming even if they were blind? Now, the biggest problem I had, and it's one of the more frustrating aspects of this, is that when Mocha was running away and you could see Skune just... At what point when, Yukari or Kurumu was basically there to just have their little confrontation or whatever the hell that number was supposed to be about. What exactly was just stopping Skune from running after them? You could have what this show should have done is I don't know what else it should have done, because I was going to say have Tomono turn up before the musical number and just say that those two had a private swimming lesson, just to have an excuse for them being together. But then again, that kind of doesn't work, because Tomono does not have... Well, she didn't display any powers of, like, of super attractiveness or, captivating Skune. Kurumu's excuse is because she had a love charm power with her eyes. So that's one reason behind it. You could say that Skune was ensnared by it. Other things besides, if he tried to run away, it's like when the plot demands it, they have Skune doing something heroic, but they don't let it really... He doesn't really do anything heroic for almost 99% of the other times in this show. The show is only concerned with itself to have Skune do something heroic at the right moment, and yet almost be at the center of so many of the drama and so many of the plots in this episode. Skune is he's like one of those I'm in it for the ride sort of characters who is just sort of like he's in the roller coaster, so he may as well enjoy the ride. It does, and I don't really like characters like that, because Skune, what exactly about Skune have we actually learned about, or how much has he actually changed since the first episode? Because since the first episode, he's made new friends, but he hasn't necessarily really changed it much himself, because how much do we actually know about Skune since he first started? That he's a little bit paranoid, maybe perhaps because of the world he's in, but other than that, he seems to just go at things very casually. It's kind of like the problems I said in episode 3. Everything seems really casually, and you could almost substitute some of the elements of monsters in this show, and nothing would have changed. In many ways, you could have removed the entire monster element entirely from this episode as well. And in fact, in every episode so far, you could have just removed monsters entirely, and almost nothing you won't really be losing anything. In fact, yeah, you won't lose anything. It's just that, as you're going to see in later episodes, and maybe there'll be one coming up in the next episode, or if I can remember which one it is, there's going to be so many moments in the show where the whole monster element is completely wasted, because it doesn't add anything, it doesn't tell anything, it doesn't bring anything new or interesting. And this is technically, I suppose, episode 6 is where they start to establish something of a plot, but it's very thinly veiled, and it doesn't go anywhere. It sort of comes to an end by the end of episode 13. And that's... And also, well, actually, I'll just say, just before we go, is that I'm going to be doing a series of videos on basically educating myself on pretty much everything that I need to know about, like screenwriting or creative writing, because I want to make a very explicit thing known about this show, that I will mention it when we get to the final episode, and even during my massive review of the show, when I do like one of those professional sort of reviews of animes and all that. I'm going to be doing stuff like that because I need to establish, because this show is a lot more important to me than I'm probably giving it the credit for, but that will become explicitly clear in days to come. But with that being said, if you enjoyed half of this episode, then all power to you. It's just, unfortunately, you have to accompany that with the other 10 minutes amid just about all the other problems. So with that being said, I hope you guys, for what it's worth, have enjoyed episode 5 of Rosario Vampire, and I hope to see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care, bye-bye for now. Whew. Also, if I just wanted to watch a video with people at a pool, I would just go watch the music video for Into Deep by Sum 41. It's just, it gets to the point and it's more entertaining in the long run.